Evening all. I want to talk about a serious topic tonight, which is about the normalisation of lying and dishonesty in public life. Increasingly, as politics touches upon absolutely everything we do, we've seen our religious faiths become politicised, our schools, academia, the so-called impartial civil service, even right down to gardening, knitting, and playing tabletop role-playing games. Everything has to have a political angle these days. And once things have a political angle, then dishonesty starts creeping in, because in order to make your political tribe look good, you have to make your political opponents look bad, which means you tell untruths about yourself, and you're constantly putting out smears, lies, and misinformation about your opponents. So I think this it's about time this was seriously addressed, because I think it's now getting to the stage where people can put out lies, particularly on social media, and get absolutely no comeback, absolutely suffer no repercussions. There are no negative consequences for lying in public life these days. And I'm not just talking about members of parliament, although I do have a few people I've noticed in parliament who are particularly egregious at being dishonest and pumping out misinformation. So I think that this needs to be pushed to the fore, because I think it's absolutely pervading all areas of our life, and it's filtering right down to small groups, individual level, social level, because it's so easy to lie on social media and get away with it. I mean, I've had a few people try and smear me over the years. You get the usual thing, fascist, misogynist, get called that. There's absolutely no basis whatsoever, but the person thinks if they screech it loud enough, and hopefully their base will give it the likes and the retweets, and it goes round and round and round, you get yourself a reputation. There's other ways that I think, if you're watching this, probably you've been lied about and things said about you that's not true. But I want to talk about a tactic that is used, and it's mainly by the left. This is a tactic. I haven't seen anybody on the right of politics use this one, but I have seen plenty of people on the left do this. Most notably the MP, what's his name? Is it Chris Bryant, Rhonda Bryant, as he's known on Twitter. Sir Chris Bryant now. It's just absolutely shocking that he's been knighted New Year's Honours list. I was absolutely gutted. I think it's the worst decision to give out a Royal Honour to a politician since Jeffrey Archer was made a lord. So this is something that Chris Bryant does, and there's a few others. Daniela Nagy, the execrable German law professor, teaches law at a London-based higher education organisation, which I won't mention here. You can easily Google and look it up. But she's terrible at this. Lisa Nandy's terrible at this. A number of others. James O'Brien's terrible at this as well. But it's called the fire and forget tweet. So you tweet out something that's either untrue. So Chris Bryant's done this with some economic figures. He's tweeted out stuff that wasn't true, and he gets corrected on it. A lot of people sort of come in and say, actually, no, these are the true figures. You're not citing the real figures. Daniel Nagy puts out a lot of guff about a lot of anti-United Kingdom stuff, attacking our culture, history, our political systems, our legal system. She even tweeted out something the other day where she, I think she wanted a member of the royal family, was it? I think it was Prince William, prosecuted for physically assaulting Prince Harry. Now, remember that extract where William allegedly punches Prince Harry is something that happened in the book. There's been no kind of formal allegation that's being investigated by the police. It's something that he mentions in his book. So Danielle Naj has just absolutely disregarded the presumption of innocence. She does this a lot. She actually tweets out stuff that is just legally not true in this country, and she's a history academic. Not history. She's a legal academic at a university. So she's teaching people stuff and tweeting out stuff that just isn't legally sound. But what they do is it's called a fire and forget tweet. So you put out the untruth, you put out the misinformation, and then you immediately hit the mute notifications button. So you never have to hear people correcting you. And the purpose of this is that these people, particularly the more well-known ones, have followers in tens of thousands of followers. So what you're doing is trying to rile them up and activate them. So what they do is that they put out the misinformation, hit the mute button, and harvest the likes. So they'll get a few thousand likes, and they'll get a few thousand retweets, and then the lie goes all the way around Twitter, and the lie builds up, fires up the activist base, so they'll be retweeting it to all their followers and stuff. And so what happens is that it trickles down to the normie friends of theirs. So what they're getting is all this misinformation, and because they've hit the mute button, they will not be corrected. You know, in a face-to-face situation, if they were in Parliament, or if they were actually face-to-face in the room with people and they put out information like this, somebody would immediately raise their hand and do a face-to-face rebuttal, and then they'd have to engage, basically. On social media, you don't have to engage. You just can put out your misinformation. And the way social media is stacked, of course, you know, none of the Twitter or Facebook or YouTube moderators are ever going to take down something that a sort of prominent progressive has tweeted out. So there's never any comeback. So they're gaming the system. Basically, they know they will never suffer repercussions for what they say and do on Twitter. So watch out for that. It's the fire and forget tactic. What can be done about it? Because if you respond and say, actually, Daniela or Chris or James or Lisa, actually, it's not like that. This is the fact. These are the facts. You're talking trash. They're not going to read it, and they're not going to stand corrected, and they're not going to engage in a dialogue with you. They're not going to put out their reasons why they've said this. So they don't have to. So why bother? Why not just leave them the field of play, as it were? Well, as something I learned when I was debunking moon landing conspiracy theories years ago, was that you're not trying to convert the diehards, because they can't be converted. You know, political activists like those, people who have the vision of the anointed, or who are fanatical political activists, they're not going to change their opinions because you confront them with facts. You're doing this to win the hearts and minds of normies, all the people in the middle. That's who and also because the truth must be known, truth must be aired. You have to, if you want to be honest and maintain any kind of integrity, honesty begins with yourself. And if you see something that's wrong or is a lie, you've got to point it out. And it's a burden we all have to bear. But the more integrity we have, the more chance we have of winning people over who aren't particularly politically engaged, and this person's an academic, they must be believed, because they don't know them like we know them, we understand, we've seen all their dodgy tricks before. So really, we have to speak up to win the hearts and minds of ordinary people. And there's some fantastic people out there on social media doing the Lord's work on this, too many to mention. But if you're one of those people out there who are rebutting, speaking facts, they speaking my truth to power. No, it's not like that. It's speaking facts to people who shouldn't. We're speaking facts in order to save people from believing lies. That's what it's about. So I'm going to keep up that fight. Hopefully, you will do. If you've got any other dishonest tactics that you've seen on social media, do share them in the comments below. I will see you later. Have a great evening.